That's usually not my problem. And I don't know whether it's just because this is my community. I don't know if it's because I married the love of my life on that beautiful schooner, the Lannon. But I can tell you that I'm so proud of this community, and Mayor, thank you for letting Lenny do this. We've changed the world. We've already changed the conversation around addiction as a disease versus a crime that needs treatment, not jail. But, I can't, how I come to this is I can't explain why, I or we are so lucky, to be born to whom and where and how. But the more you give, the more you get. And the more you have, the more you have to give. And this is really a community approach. And to our law enforcement, who without feeling safe in a community, you've got nothing. I mean, you can't live comfortably, you can't have a business comfortably, and we are among the luckiest people on the planet to live in this community of Gloucester. Through this community with a relatively small number of people relative to the world, we came up with a really big idea, and it is working. So, it's an interesting convergence of a lot of things for me. I started Friends of Boston's Homeless in 1987 because 25% of the homeless worked regular jobs and couldn't afford housing. We now move 400 people out of the shelter with jobs and housing each year, and we've become a model for homelessness prevention. In '95, as a gun owner, I started Stop Handgun Violence with my dearest friend, Michael Kennedy, and we changed laws, and we changed behavior, and Massachusetts has reduced gun deaths by 60% since 1994. And using that model, I mean, look, and Bruce and Ann Margaret and Mayor, I mean, you guys have been amazing leaders on a bipartisan manner, the way it ought to be. Look, good public policy leads to good public health outcomes. Bad public policy leads to bad public health outcomes. And all we're doing around homelessness and gun violence and now the epidemic of opioid addiction is changing public policy to address the constituent groups where you can make a difference. So, by changing the conversation from opioid addiction as a crime to as a disease, and it's a chronic disease, there's no cure. I mean, these opioids are so effective, they change your brain chemistry. You don't have a choice. You will give up your children to get the next high. 80% of people that end up with a needle in their arm or who die snorting heroin, like my 34-year-old nephew, MBA from Suffolk, stockbroker, in the last year, start with legally prescribed painkillers that have been aggressively marketed and overly prescribed. And we need to hold the medical schools, doctors, hospitals, and pharmaceutical companies accountable. And we need to develop a treatment system that is blind to this disease. I mean, if you had cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and you went to a hospital, you would not be medically cleared and sent back to the street to die. So all we have done in our little town of Gloucester is created entry points into treatment for people with a chronic disease. And already, the governor and the legislature have passed landmark legislation. And already, just since June 2nd last year, 450 people have come into the Gloucester Police Department, and all have been placed into treatment same day. This disease of addiction with a 95% relapse rate, we are tracking all of the people that have come through this program through the BU School of Public Health, and we're seeing a 30% relapse rate among those motivated enough to come into a police department and seek treatment. As of today, I think 130 police departments across the country. I was just at a press conference yesterday with 7 more in New Hampshire and Maine. And my guess is we will have well over 200, before the end of the year. It is happening every single day. So we've created something great, and it never would have happened without the support of this community, top to bottom, and the governor. And I'm so proud to live here. I'm so proud to call this a home, and I'm so proud of the city of Gloucester for believing in the chief and letting him do this, because we're saving lives every day. Thank you.